Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of Truth Talks. In today's episode, we are featuring our client Alex. Now, Alex is one of our younger clients. However, he is very mature and is doing really, really well. So I'm excited to share his story. He's a student right now at Western University, and we actually met him at the Summer Shredding Toronto show where he competed in the Transformation Division. The Transformation Division highlights a complete lifestyle transformation. It's less about comparing physique to physique, and it's more about comparing the story and the journey of a true lifestyle transformation. So he competed there, and then we linked up to prep for the Houston Summer Shredding Show, which we just did a few months ago, and he did an absolutely fantastic job with that prep and came in with his all-time best physique, so much so that now we are actually targeting to do classic bodybuilding. So we've entered into a lengthy building phase to bring up some muscle groups, and the future plans are to do a classic bodybuilding show. So pretty crazy journey that this guy has been on, and I'm excited to share his story here on this podcast. And as always, if you like content like this, please subscribe either on YouTube if you're watching this on YouTube, or keep listening on Spotify. We appreciate all the support. All right. Welcome to another episode of Truth Talks. Today, I'm very excited because we have one of our younger clients, Alex, hopping in. Alex, what is going on, man? How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Pretty good, thanks. Pretty good. I just hit a leg day, so I'm feeling, when your nervous system's like a little fried after a good good
Tired
good
too.
day. Exactly. So, but we're good. I haven't hit that crash yet, but I did some heavy hack squats today, so definitely the nervous system is feeling it. But I'm excited for this podcast because I really think you have a unique and impressive story. So I kind of want to jump into that right now. But before we do that, just give us a little bit of rundown right now. Like, how old are you? What are you doing? Like, give us kind of the rundown.
Okay, so right now I'm 20 years old. I'm currently a third-year student at Western University. I'm studying criminology, so I have one more year of this, and then I'm planning on pursuing like a policing career. That's the plan right now, and then also doing like fitness on the side. Like I have a real passion about fitness, so hopefully that takes like a more front running position in my life. But for right now, I'm just focused on like the policing position that I've had the vision of and I've like pursued with my education. So that's plan A, but fitness is definitely plan B for right now.
Awesome, man. I think police officers should be in really good shape, right? Like, you would hope they would
definitely,
be.
Yeah.
We've had a couple come through our program that have done pretty well, and it's such an important aspect of the job. With any first responder, we have a lot of paramedics that we work with too, and some of them have actually been on this podcast. But I think it's important for people that work those types of jobs to like prioritize that. So no matter what, you like having this as a big part of your life is going to be super important, right?
I agree.
That's cool, man. So talk about, I want to hear, obviously you're at a pretty cool spot right now with your fitness journey, but I want to start maybe from the earlier stages and walk us through kind of some of the struggles you're dealing with in the situation when you were younger.
Yeah, basically, I mean, like food, like I've always just loved food. Like I've always grown up in a household where like if I'm hungry, there's always like food to eat. And like my mom's really, really hardworking. Same with my dad. Like my dad owns his own business and everything. So like they cooked a lot, but there was a lot of the time where it was like, if you're hungry, like here's a frozen meal, just because like I don't have the time to cook you like a healthy, fresh meal, right? So I feel like that was definitely a factor when it came to like the excessive weight that I was carrying as a kid. But also it was just like, it was also the fact that like my mom wouldn't say no to me. No one, like, you have a kid and like she's also explained this to me, where it's like, if your kid is saying he's hungry or she, and then you just want to feed him, like you're not going to say no, right? Like you're gonna like you're gonna feed your child just because it's your child. So that was also like another thing that my mom like always did. Like if I ever said I was hungry or something, like she would always buy me food. And like she told me this one story once. It's actually pretty funny. When I was like little, I'd always ask her to go to McDonald's. And when your kid is young, like they don't really know where McDonald's is, right? Like they don't know like the exact location of it and like where you are right now. So what my mom would say when I was really, really young was like, oh, like we're not close to it, like it's really, really far, like we can't, right? But as I would get older, like I'd know my location and my surroundings, and then I'd be like, oh no, mom, it's like it's right there, like it's really close. So like she told me that story like pretty recently, probably like a year ago, and like that cracked me up too. But it's just like small things like that. Like I always had ice cream in the fridge. Like I love sweets. I love chocolate, just everything. I just love food in general. So I feel like that definitely didn't help. But yeah, I would just always eat.
Got it. So when you were younger, so you were you mentioned you were overweight when you were younger. So like how much did you weigh, I guess, in your preteen years, if you don't mind me asking?
I never really knew, but the heaviest I definitely got was peak COVID for sure. Before I got my first part-time job at Canadian Tire, which is when I was around like 16 years old.
Okay.
I was definitely like a big boy, like probably like 250 pounds.
Okay. And not all muscle, I'm assuming.
No, like no muscle. Like my first couple shifts at Canadian Tire, like I can compare it to like an insane leg day I do now. Like if you take like a week off the gym, right? Or like or a full month, and then you come back and you do an insane leg day, and you just like feel the soreness the next day in your legs. My first like week at Canadian Tire, this is in COVID too, right? So you're not moving. Like I'm in online school probably for like 2 months. Like my daily steps when I was in COVID was probably like 2,000 steps a day for like 3 months straight. So like I wasn't moving. I wasn't doing like no at-home workouts. So like my body was like very used to just doing nothing. And then that first week at Canadian Tire, the soreness I felt in my legs was unreal. It was definitely like a wake-up call too. And just even like the first month at Canadian Tire when I was 16, like I definitely dropped like a good 10, maybe 12 pounds of just like fat. It was insane.
From walking and
just literally from working like a 5 to 8 hour shift. Just walking around and just stocking shelves. It was crazy. Like it sucks because when I did transformation, I wish I had more photos in the COVID time. But like when you think about it, we were all locked down. We were told not to hang out with friends. Like it was online school and video games for me. That was it. Like that was literally my life. I'd just like eat like the worst meals ever, like frozen foods, all this stuff. And then I'd literally just sit down at my gaming setup and just do class and just play video games all day with my friends.
Jeez. Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's crazy, man. But it's a lot of people can kind of relate to that during COVID. Sure. And I think it's also inspiration to people that are starting a bit heavier and feel like, oh, where do I even start? It's like, it doesn't take that much to get the ball rolling when you're starting from ground zero. Like people are so nervous about it being perfect off the beginning. It's like, it doesn't need to be. Just start, because at the beginning you're going to see results pretty much doing anything better than perfect. So I think that's powerful, man. So what was was that part of the deciding moment that made you like want to get in shape? Like, I know there's some other things, if you don't mind sharing, that kind of triggered that, but tell us like, what was the moment, or if there was a series of moments that were like, I need to change this situation?
I mean, I've always struggled with like my weight and my self-perception like my whole life, especially as you get older too. Like I feel like social media definitely does not help with this at all. Just like comparing yourself constantly. Like I still compare myself constantly. Like even in prep, you're just like, wow, I look like shit. But like in reality, you look back like when you're done prep and stuff, and you're like, wow, you look like I looked pretty insane, right? It's just like it's funny how the mind works. But yeah, like I've always struggled with self-image and stuff. So I'd say when I really started to like push myself to change was around grade 8. Like that's when grade 8 was the first time I really started to like just diet. I'd say like diet kind of like I would starve myself and like I try and just like, because that's what I thought, like if I just eat no food, I'll get the body that I think I want. So that's why I did a lot. So even in grade 8, like there was like, I'd go like weeks, not weeks, but like a full week with like without eating, or like very minimal calories. and just like try and just drop as much weight as possible. It worked, but then I fried my metabolism so much during grade 8 that when grade 9 came and I tried to go back to like a more standard way of living and eating, that like my body just expanded again and like explode in size. So like from grade 8, I remember stepping on a scale, I was like 160, and like I was pretty tall in grade 8 too. I was probably like still like 5'10". So like that's not crazy big. And then in grade 9, my pant size, like my waist size, because we had a uniform at my high school, went up to a 42.
Oh wow, okay.
That's big deal. So yeah. And I think before that, my lowest waistband size in high school was maybe like a 34, and then my highest was like a 42. Like it's crazy. Like
wow,
I think a cool thing that I could do now is like go back and wear those pants and just see like the comparison. Yeah. That'd be pretty cool.
That's crazy, man. That is crazy. But it goes to show we're so against crash dieting, man, and for a reason, right? Like it never works. It may work in short term, but then on the other side of it, people just gain even more weight back, and then you feel shitty about, excuse my French, but you feel shitty about yourself. And then, you try it again because you think it worked. And then it's like this endless cycle of crash dieting, gaining a bunch of weight. And it's tough on the mental more than anything.
It is. Yeah, it is.
So man, that's crazy. And then, so I want to give people a bit of a background because they don't know this, but like Alex competed in the summer shredding transformation category, which is essentially when you have a pretty cool story transforming. A lot of times it has to do with like a giant amount of weight loss. So he went from pretty much looking like, if you don't mind me saying, just like an average guy who doesn't work out, who's carrying a little bit of extra body fat, to then looking to what is very similar to a bodybuilder, even though he wasn't in the bodybuilding category. So like, how did that identity shift? Because that's a pretty significant transformation of looking maybe like, a sack of potatoes in your kind of perspective to then looking like almost like a bodybuilder. So how did that identity shift happen? And like, was it weird to see yourself like transform like that?
Yeah, definitely. Like I started, like I always looked up to bodybuilders, just like the physique, and it's just like, wow, like this guy looks like a man almost, right? Like the perfect image of a man. Like you kind of think of like big muscles, strong, right? So like I always looked up to that type of physique. And then a couple of my friends who I reached out to when I started like the summer shredding transformation in like grade 12, which is like 3 years ago for me now. So in 2021 is when like I really started working out and trying to find like a good program and like a good plan to follow. I reached out to a couple of my friends who were already in the gym and already had like that physique, almost like just big muscles and all that stuff. So yeah, I just like locked in on that, and then I just learned along the way. Like my first 3 months were at LA Fitness, and LA Fitness is like so packed, weights everywhere, no one cares. Like it wasn't a bad environment, just because you're still learning and you're making that progress so fast, and you're just seeing week to week just like your body change so much. So that really hooked me too, just seeing that week to week change. And then just like my whole life just struggling with self-image, I was like, hey, like I need to lock in for at least 3 months and give this my all if I really want to change. And then just like month to month, I just like fell in love with it. I saw the progress, which hooked me even more. And then like, even when you start to, people start to treat you way differently. Like I can say now, just like the opportunities I've gotten, like how people talk to me and how people present themselves to me, like I can tell if I had my old physique, like my 2021 physique, it would be completely different. Like people treat me like they want to be my friend now if they're like someone random in public, which is weird, because it's like, I don't know, the change is so different. But you just, because like when you go up to someone and they're like jacked and you're just like, you like admire them almost. And I feel like now a lot more people are respecting me and just giving me the time of day, which compared to 3 years ago, that would never happen.
I'm glad you touched on this. This is a touchy subject for some people in regards to like, oh, we should accept everybody for who they are. I do think we should only be judged on what we have to value as a person and how we treat people and the value that we add to society. That's, I think, our worth should be based on. However, it would be idiotic for me to say that first impressions are purely like appearance based, and people who are in good shape immediately will demand more respect and immediately do have almost like a certain magnetism. Like when you see somebody who's really well put together and in good shape and they're confident, right? Because you also just get more confident, which is attractive in itself, right? People are automatically pulled to you, right? So it's, yes, I'm all for, we shouldn't be judged by the way we look. That's not what our value is, but it would be misrepresenting what actually happens in real life if we were to say that how you look doesn't matter. Even in a business scenario or at work, getting a job, you're immediately judged. Even when you're like, let's say you're going out and you're talking to girls or guys or whoever your person of interest is, like you will have a lot more success if you are an attractive character. Like it's just a fact, right? And I'm sorry if that pisses people off, but it's true.
100%. Yeah. It's insane.
So that's awesome, man. No, I'm super proud of that. And I want to fast forward a little bit. So had such an awesome transformation. And then you did the Summer Shredding Toronto show. And we had a handful of our clients in that show, which was an amazing day for us. And that's where we actually met you. And the funny, I'll tell you the story about how we actually formally met was we were having like a pizza party this following day in my condo with some of our clients that competed the next day. And then I see in the mirror, like across the hallway at my condo, I was like, I swear that guy was at the show yesterday. And Alex happened to be at a baby shower in my condo building because your cousin, right?
My cousin.
Used to live there. So I was like, this is just meant to be. And then we had a chat, we clicked, and then he joined our team, and then and it's just kind of been awesome ever since. You've been amazing. I always say for such a young guy, you have your shit together, right? Like most young people, they think, oh, I really want to do this physique thing, but then they realize the organizational skills, maturity, and like forethought that comes into it and planning, and then they're all of a sudden, not in anymore, right? So I guess walk me through the timeline from like when you did the Summer Shredding Toronto show to then when we teamed up, and kind of like what do you learn during that time frame? What happened? How was that experience?
Yeah. So, So from when I first met you, that was in August, right? And then we talked for like a week, and then I signed up. So wait, what's the question again? Sorry.
It was just kind of walking us through that period of time, like the kind of prep from the Summer Shredding Toronto and then until maybe Houston, which we'll touch on after, but like, because we did the championship show in Houston, obviously, right? So like that time period. Yeah. Like how did that go? Like, what was it like kind of having someone in your corner versus doing it alone? Like, tell us about that.
Yeah. So the Toronto Summer Shredding, I did 100% myself. And the challenge that I found compared to Houston with you was just having someone just say like, just having one answer and following that one answer. Because like I feel like when you're coaching yourself too, you're just so in your own head on prep. And then when you're looking for a solution to your problem, you're going online, you're listening to so many different people's opinion and their solution to that certain problem, and then you have all these answers to your question, but you don't know which answer and solution to follow. So like even for me, one of the things that I thought I couldn't get below like 190 pounds, and the only way I could get below 190 pounds was doing keto. That's what I thought, just because like I thought that's just how dieting worked. So that's exactly what I did. I went on keto. It worked, but just because I was in a calorie deficit. But and then I thought carb loading, like I followed the Greg Doucette carb loading thing for Toronto.
Like for Toronto show, yeah.
Yeah, that was just like what Greg Doucette does was he gets two boxes of Reese's Pieces Puff cereal and just eats one 2 days before, eats another one the day before, and then like on show day he brings the box around with him and eats it. Which is like it's not the smartest thing to do, but that's what I thought, right? Because he's someone who's been doing this for a long time, and I was like, hey, he knows what he's talking about, right? I'm just gonna follow what he does because it works for him. Why can't it work for me, right? So that's what I did too. I felt like garbage because I went from eating no carbs to eating a full box of cereal. So like 2 days out from Toronto, I felt like garbage. My digestion was crap. I was going to the toilet every like 30 minutes. It was not good. Like 2 days before, I was panicking because I was like, wow, all this work I just did is going down the drain. Like I feel I should not be feeling like this. But then the next day, like it cleared up. So I was still pushing more carbs, still trying. Like I had no clue what carb loading was. I was just trying to get as full as possible, I thought, right? Because the more carbs you eat, the more fuller you look. That's what I thought in my head. So yeah, that didn't go as well. And I definitely spilled over for Toronto, and just like seeing backstage too, while I was like pumping up before going on stage, like just seeing everyone else with their coaches and like them pumping up, I was just like, wow, I'm at such a disadvantage when it comes to this, just because one, I'm so new to this and I don't know what's going on, and all these people literally have someone in their corner telling them exactly what to do, like calming them down, reassuring them of like the scenario that they're in. So like as soon as I saw that too, I was like, okay, if I'm going to do a bodybuilding show again, like I got to get a coach. And then after Toronto, I met you in my cousin's lounge or whatever you want to say. And then, yeah, like just like the training plan too. Like I feel like now, like before me and you started working together, I wasn't taking rest days just because I thought like I just love the gym so much and I just love going to the gym. That was one reason I didn't take a rest day. But two, I can definitely tell a lot more now. My body is less stressed and I'm able to be more intense with the workouts that I'm putting in now than I was before. Like before I had a lot of fatigue going in for 7 days a week every day. Now like I can even say now, like I feel like I should even do less volume just because of how intense my sets are. Like you have me doing maximum like 3 sets of movement. Like certain movements there's 4 sets, right? But you have me in that 1 to 3 set depending on like what movement and what compound I'm doing. So and like even like just after 2 sets I'm like, wow, like I've stimulated the muscle like 100%, like I'm good, like I'm gonna grow. So that I've learned a lot from you. Dieting, I've learned tons from you, just how to properly eat, just like fat, macro, carb, protein, like the ratios with that, just getting your protein in. Like dieting was definitely really, really hard for me. It's always been just because of my whole past and just like how much I just love food in general. But just like learning new strategies on how to just make sure I hit my calories and don't go over. That's helped a lot. Like I've learned a lot about that. Just resting. I think that's about it.
Yeah, man. And you train hard too. And that's why I found it. We've had a couple of people that have come on board and they say like, oh, this workout they're like not advanced whatsoever. And they're like, oh, this workout program is too basic for me. I'm like, come on.
Yeah.
Like and then you look at guys who are more experienced like yourself or even like Manene and Brody, and it's like very simple training. And it's like, these are the most elite physiques. And you're like, and you're going to come in and say it's too basic. It's not what's on paper. It's how it's executed. Yeah. Just as you said, you could do 2 sets. Like I only had 2 sets of hack squats today. I was roasted after those 2 sets of hack squats, right? Yeah. So it's not what's on paper. It's how it's executed. And especially, I know we've talked a lot about like technique, and we at the beginning, especially, we did a lot of form review. And like, if your technique is good and you train super hard, like you don't really need that much. Most people do way too many sets, way too many sets. So yeah.
Like one funny thing too, on the app, like my fingers slip sometimes when I'm not looking at my phone and I add a set and I look down, I'm like, I have to do another set of this. Like I'm like fried already, and I'm like, damn.
That's crazy, man. Yeah, no, your training intensity is awesome. And for reference, like Alex just sent me a video of him doing close stance, ass to grass, Smith machine squats with 315 for like reps. And like, that is very impressive with good form, like to get that depth close stance. Like I don't even think we have. Okay, maybe we have a couple strong clients who come close, but not like probably one of the strongest on that movement, I would say, most likely. So crazy legs. This guy's got some wheels on him. Which brings to the next thing of like, okay, so Houston, how like championship show? Obviously, we went there with Courtney, Brody, Ryan, and we flew Jack out to take some videos. We got awesome content. But walk me through like that experience, just kind of as a synopsis, and like the physique you brought and how you felt on stage.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that whole weekend was just unreal. Like it was a great experience. Just being around you guys for like the first time. Like I've met Ryan before. Like I properly met Ryan now. Like after that trip, like just spending the weekend with you, like the atmosphere was 10 out of 10. It was so much fun. Mm-hmm. Just prepping, like that whole week prepping for the show. Definitely like the first 2 days, you're really in your head. So like we got there the Thursday and Friday, I was like, I don't know, like I should have like cut harder, like I should have pushed more. But like when you're in that scenario, then you can't really do anything else. Like it's like what work you put in is just what you have. So you need to realize that too. And then I thought, yeah, when I woke up, like the progress, like the check-in we did the day of the show, and looking back at it now, I was like, damn, I look like really, really lean. Like I brought a way better package than Toronto, like 10-fold time better. But yeah, I was really happy about it. Just like the whole experience, like you and like the whole team was so kind, so inviting. It was just a really chill experience just to meet everyone. And show day was definitely stressful. I feel like I was a lot more stressed for this show than Toronto. Just because Toronto backstage, like especially for Transformation 2, everyone was like so excited, so hyped. Like it really felt like a family in Toronto. And then Houston too, it did feel like a family, but it felt, maybe it's just the arena too and the setup of everything. Like it felt more like strict. I feel like it's like you go out, then come out, then come back, and then go backstage. Like it felt very just like here, and not very like inviting to just like, okay, like it's your turn now, like let's go, like just perform, you know? Like it felt a lot more strict, which isn't a bad thing, I guess, but I felt like Toronto was definitely way more inviting.
I think it's just a bigger show, and also like it was competitive, right? Like people think, oh, summer training, it's like a casual show. Like, no. These guys are coming there for blood. You know what I mean? So like, I think just the general vibe was like a little bit more just intense in general, just because people were there to like do well
win.
And to win, right? It was that kind of mentality. But like you handled yourself very maturely, and I think you came in with an awesome look, and your stage presence was awesome. Like to the point where now it's like we're targeting classic bodybuilding. It's like, hold on, this kid that started as like getting tired from working at Canadian Tire, it's like now we're at the point where it's like we're shooting for like classic bodybuilding. So I think that's pretty cool. Like you looked in that transformation category like you should have been almost in the bodybuilding if you came in a little leaner, right? Which is kind of cool. So like coming out of that, obviously it sparked like motivation to have like a good off season. Let's put on some tissue in the right places, and then we'll probably do a cleanup cut at some point, and then build again, and then do a prep for classic physique or classic bodybuilding. So I guess what's your mindset on like off season and like inspiration in terms of like putting on some new tissue and developing the physique?
Yeah, this off season I'm just gonna train, just eat properly. And then just do. I'm basically just gonna follow whatever you tell me to do, because like it just works. But yeah, I'm really excited. I love like prep is fun just to see like where like just to see all the progress you've made over like the off season. It's really cool to see, but it's also like I enjoy off season too, just because you get to like live a more normal life. Because I feel like in prep you're just so strict, and you're just like, I need to do like these 3 things on a daily basis, and then if like some external factor comes in, then like you're just like, oh my god, I don't know if I'm going to be able to hit like ABC. So being in off season, like you're a lot more social too. Like you're allowed to have more of like a social presence. And I feel like that's a really big thing, especially being in university like myself. So yeah, I definitely am more excited for off season than prep right now, just because of the scenario I'm in. And just because my prep was so long because I did Toronto and then Houston right after.
Yeah.
So it was like an extended prep. I feel like for most people, if they just do one prep, like one 8 to 12 week prep, it's a lot more manageable than doing like a whole 16 to 20 week prep.
Yeah, the thing is with the standard of leanness now, unless you're starting lean, then you have to do a long prep. However, I like to break it up into chunks where it's like you do a pre-prep cut and then you maintain, so you're not in prep yet, right? And then you do like your prep cut. Secondly, so you're starting prep like refreshed, eating more, and at a decently lean spot. So I know what you mean, and trust me, I was in prep for like 10 months technically because I did 3 shows. I was kind of way too spread out. I would never do that again. That was a lot on the body, also on to be honest, like even for relationships and stuff, like, you know, it's a big sacrifice for like my girlfriend Tara, and like, you know, there are social sacrifices, but I think the fact that you could do that even while being at university and make some of those sacrifices, I think goes to show a lot of character development probably. And you learn like, oh man, when I stick to something, like I can do this. What else can I do if I, you know, use that much determination, right? So I think that's really awesome. But I do think we talked about this, is like, it's a healthier balance to be able to partake in like more social things and going out. It's like, I don't want you to like have to sacrifice those things. And that's why we have to find that flexibility range, even for things like parties and stuff like that. Like we need game plans so that we can still make sick progress, but like, we don't want to restrict you to the point where you're limited on these experiences. Right? We don't want to rob you of those experiences.
Exactly.
That's cool, man. I want to ask you, for somebody who maybe is starting in a similar place to where you started, where like they're not training, they're kind of overweight, they like don't know what the heck to do, like what is the first step for somebody like that?
I feel like the one thing that helped me the most was just finding a training partner, like just like dragging your best friend, just be like, okay, like we're doing this, because like it's a lot easier to commit when you have someone to push you to, especially for those days. Like as a beginner, it's so easy just to be like, okay, I'm not going to the gym. And then that one day that you don't go, it spirals into 2 days, then 3 days, and then a week, and then a month. So it's so easy to get to like sit down with like a really close friend of yours who also wants to change, and just be like, okay, like let's push each other. Like let's lock in for like an X amount of time. And then if we don't like it, then it's fine. Like clearly the weight room, it didn't work for us, but like if you really lock in and you push each other, like for me too, I found a friend who already had knowledge on the gym and how to train. So it was a lot easier for me just because I had that friend with that knowledge to push me and to teach me. So not only was I bettering myself, I was also learning like something new, which is also cool, right? Just learning something new and just being in a new environment and just surrounding yourself with other people who have the same goal, especially when you're in the gym, because everyone's trying to better themselves in the gym. I think, that's like the main thing that helped me the most, and just setting goals and committing to them. You need to like write down your goals. Like my goal as soon as I started was I'm going to go to the gym no matter what every single day for 3 months. Like that was the goal. And like, of course, like there's some days where like you really just can't, like sometimes the gym just closes, or like there's like a snowstorm if you live in Canada. But there's certain factors that come into play, but as long as you stick to that goal, like pretty strictly, I think you're going to fall in love with the gym, especially if you're doing your workouts correctly and you're just seeing the progress in your body. Like it's going to flick some sort of switch in your mind and you're just going to get hooked. That's what happened to me.
Yeah, man. And I think the powerful thing was, which was cool, is your goal was actually action and process oriented. It wasn't like, I need to lose this much weight in this much time. It was, these are the actions I need to take, which is pretty damn cool, because like if you focus on process, obviously the results come, but a lot of people just make these goals, but they don't have any tangible like action items attached to that. Which, hey, set the goal. I'm all for setting goals, but your goal was like actually action oriented, which is pretty cool. So I think that's awesome. Those are two really cool pieces of advice for people starting out. And I guess my last question to you is, what was the major mindset that you had to get over? Because I talk a lot about like self-limiting beliefs. Like people say, I'm too busy, or I'm too old, or, oh, my work is too stressful, or, oh, it doesn't work for me, or like all these BS things, like, oh, I'm not motivated enough. Like I could list a bajillion of them. What was the main one that you had, which was kind of limiting, and how did you jump over that?
That's a hard question. That's a tough question. Yeah. The main thing that like my main excuse you're kind of asking for, right?
Yeah. Or like mindset barrier. Was that you like food too much to like lose weight?
Yeah, I guess like, well, like when I first started, I didn't really care about just losing weight. I just wanted to get in the gym and just like kind of get my toes wet. Like that was like the first thing. But I'm trying to think. I don't know. I was just like so locked in. I didn't really have an excuse. Like I was so locked in.
Good.
I
was
just like, I'm doing this no matter what.
I like that.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just gotta jump in, man.
I feel like for dieting though, like it even happens now. It's like, okay, like I put in so much work, like I train so hard, like, okay, I'm gonna allow myself to have this cookie. Like I feel like that it still happens to this day, like happened last night, but like that's definitely one thing that I need to work on, is just having those excuses where it's like, okay, like, yes, you train hard, you can have this cookie, but if you have this cookie, like you are not gonna like follow your plan and like follow the design, like the structured plan to put you where you want to be. So it's like it's like I don't even know if it's if it is a quote. It's like I forget the quote now.
You can paraphrase the idea.
Yeah, it's like do things that will help you in the end, basically. It's like if you do X, will it help you reach your end goal?
Yeah.
So it's like, it's just thinking like that.
And the way we do things with the amount of flexibility, like you can have that cookie, you just need to account for it and like make space intentionally for it, right?
Exactly.
So that's the way to think about it. But I think it's like giving up some short-term pleasures for like long-term fulfillment and results. I think that's the main thing. It's like, because that small decision every single day of like whether or not to eat those 300 extra calories over what we have in like programs, and with that cookie every single day, it's like one day might not make a difference, but like if you do that every day, well, now all of a sudden we put on way more body fat in our building phase than we wanted to, and we're 3 months down the line being like, well, should we cut or what? You know, like, So I think it's like giving up some short-term pleasures for like the long-term.
Natural bodybuilding
is all about delayed gratification. Natural bodybuilding is the ultimate form of delayed gratification.
Yeah.
So that's cool, man. I love it. This has been a great chat. I won't take too much more of your time, but is there any final thoughts, anything you want to say to people listening?
Not really.
Cool. I think we gave them enough value already.
Yeah.
Awesome, man. Well, thank you very much for coming on. That was awesome. And hopefully we'll have you back maybe when it's time to prep or later in the off season or something. That'd be cool.
I'm down.
All right. Thanks. Cheers.
Thank you.